Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi is finally here in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, repping some Phantom Menace anniversary. Love it. And yeah, there's some funny stuff going on with the release of this guy. I mean, to get to the point here, right now, a little bit lackluster. Kind of feels a bit puny and frail. However, with the introduction of Queen Amidala in the next couple weeks, as well as Master Qui-Gon, this guy's gonna be popping some serious hits. But until then, CG has unleashed a devious plan. And let's just say it definitely supplements the lacklusteriness of this character. So obviously right now, it's not going to be a complete picture of Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. However, I do firmly believe that once we get the other two missing pieces to his puzzle, he's going to be hitting quite obnoxiously in the upcoming future here. But still, a couple things that are worth pointing out right now. In the meantime, then we're going to talk about the interesting thing that Capital Games is trying to introduce with this new exclusive Datacron thing. And yeah, he's popping. So even though we don't have Master Qui-Gon, Queen Amidala, it's very much evident what the mods are going to look like. This guy is going to be a damage dealer when all is said and done. So here are some modding recommendations that I think will stick, especially when Master Qui-Gon, Queen Amidala come around the corner, where focusing on offense sets, trying to get as much offense jacked into this guy, and throwing in a little bit of potency mod sets to try to make sure we're landing things like daze, the defense down, turn meter removal. So we can roll a little bit of gameplay right now just to kind of show you what things are looking like. It's actually quite funny without Qui-Gon, without Queen Amidala, which makes sense. His damage is kind of disappointing for the most part, where at times with Relic 7 Kenobi, great mods, he's hitting for like 15,000 damage on a critical hit. Not great for an attacker. I don't want to completely exclude the possibility of this character being a bit more useful once we get into Grand Arena potentially. Like, I think, and not sure about a team of 3v3, but maybe in a 5v5. Throwing in Padawan Obi-Wan, he's got loads of ways to increase his damage through, let's say, for example, a Qui-Gon Jinn, the old school Qui-Gon Jinn Grand Arena Omicron, where when Qui-Gon dies, feeds a bunch of stats to the rest of the team. On redirected blast, cool animation of this character, by the way, he gets 100 speed. Well, what does Qui-Gon Jinn do? You get your damage scales alongside your speed. You get offense equal to 30 times your speed and doubled when they have foresight. So, you know, I can imagine that Kenobi's gonna hit pretty well in case you're not gonna get Queen Amidala. Like, I think there might be a home for him, but by no means do I feel like he's replacing anything, but he's there. He's a Jedi. He's a Galactic Republic. You could use him. You're just not seeing nearly the full picture of his damage and what he can do until Master Qui-Gon as well as Queen Amidala shows up. Like, for example, if Master Qui-Gon's in at the battle, Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi can get defense penetration up and offense up. Kind of reminiscent of a Grandmaster Yoda. The other very evident thing that we're missing here is the discipline that he gains when you have yourselves Queen Amidala and Master Qui-Gon. And with discipline, your attacks can't be countered, but more importantly, you're going to ignore protection, and you're also going to get a lot of other protection over time and heal over time opportunities. And when there's the Master Qui-Gon coming around the corner, he's going to be assisting a lot, but the first time Master Qui-Gon's defeated, Padawan Obi-Wan takes a bonus turn, gains 5% offense for each relic Amphire level Master Qui-Gon had for 4 turns. So imagine, old school Qui-Gon dies off, then Master Qui-Gon dies off. Padawan Kenobi, he's gonna be hitting hard, honey. So he's gonna be kind of like another Anakin Skywalker threat, it feels like, where you gotta make sure you don't accidentally trigger all of these Qui-Gon effects. I mean, losing one Qui-Gon sucks. Imagine losing 2. It's kind of a lot for the mental toll on Kenobi. And of course, Queen Amidala. There's a lot of stuff going on here, where the leadership, more importantly, anytime we're getting heal over time, we're increasing our critical damage, which has no cap, by 3% each. Protection over time, we're getting 3% offense, which is stacking. Padme's unique ability, when you have the Omicron, you're in Grand Arena, you're getting an extra 25% critical damage, 40% mastery increase. And Kenobi as well, 5% critical chance for each heal over time, and you're also going to get extra critical damage for each protection over time. So you can see how this is going to just compound into some monstrous damage. At least we hope. On paper, it sounds like there's a lot of ways to scale this up. And we can kind of see it when we try to use the few things that have protection over time, like Wat Tambor. I'll be honest, I completely forgot that 5's lead had protection over time, granted only for 501st allies, but I forgot it existed. So when you do a little bit of protection over time, you got some heal over time, something like maybe Truth or Luminaris, or even Wat Tambor, I suppose, and we use like a Master Kenobi lead, you can see that the damage could scale, and this is barely scratching the surface. So all I'm trying to say is right now, now, in just his vanilla form, without any help of other people or maybe a Datacron, he's not really going to be some game-changing character where he's one and done. He's making every team supercharged. He's going to need a bit more help from his master as well as a Queen Amidala. But all I'm saying is right now, we can't really rush to conclusions about this character being trash. I mean, unless you want to say, he's just trash by himself, then yeah, he's not really the most impressive Jedi. But I have confidence within the next 3 weeks, we're going to get Master Qui-Gon. We are going to also get Queen Amidala. Fully expect that the damage is going to be very good, and being able to ignore protection, that is going to be a big deal. So that's pretty much the extent of what we could really discuss about Padawan Obi-Wan for the moment. However, as I've been alluding to, there is something pretty nutty that they threw in to kind of supplement the lackluster aspect of Kenobi until he gets his counterparts, and that is this new exclusive Datacron thing that they're trying out. So when you do tier 6 of the event, I believe the marquee event for Padawan Kenobi, you need a 7-star Padawan Kenobi. You are basically given the level 9 Padawan Kenobi Datacron, and it'll randomize everything else here, but this is predetermined, and I got a very good roll where I got over 170% armor penetration, but that doesn't mean you're gonna get that. It's all randomized. I did have to re-roll this, the max health, max protection thing, but what they're doing here with their new marquee structure, which does benefit free-to-play players a little bit, but it's mostly meant to benefit the whales, because here's the thing in Galaxy of Heroes, there is not a big incentive to whale on a character top dollar day one. There isn't, and I've been advocating for that for the longest time. Yeah, I do it because I'm just in a weird, unique spot, but for most people out there, unless you just want to burn money, you just wait for it to go to shipments. If anything, it's best if you want to get the character, you wait till they go to shipments, because really most characters, you're not going to see their full picture of fruition until many months after. Whale on crystals, buy them through shipments, you're going to get it for a much bigger discount. But now they've made the marquee structure cheaper, where now it's no longer $330 a character, because you're getting a lot of free shards of the character per day, assuming you take of the 6 stars. They basically give you the 6 to 7 star for free, and yeah, so you get 15 shards of the character for free for a whole week, every single day. You're getting a variety of gears that are very helpful, Chirotech, relic materials, crystals, Zetas. They're trying to bundle in as much as possible, so there's a bigger incentive to get these characters day one. And now with the newest edition, with this tier 6, they have that Datacron, and the Datacron really makes this character so much more impressive. But keep in mind, the Datacron will expire, man, September. Holy cow, is it really? Oh my gosh, is it that far away? Isn't it funny? It seems far away, but it seems like it's not that far away. Man, the September 4th. But anyways, what you're getting here is pretty nuts. He turns into a completely different Jedi, where you don't need Master Qui-Gon, where you don't need Queen Amidala, and he's doing great with a Master Kenobi, for example, or even a Jedi Knight Revan. I was able to beat so many teams and make an easy climb to number 1 in my Squad Arena shard, where here, he's getting a ton of counter chance, and whenever he attacks out of turn, he deals true damage to the target enemy, which can't be evaded. And there are times where he can easily do like 300,000 true damage. So think about it. Jedi Knight Revan calls a lot of assists. Jedi Knight Luke calls a lot of assists. Master Kenobi has a lot of assisting. Doesn't work nearly as well with the Master Luke, because Master Luke reduces your assisting damage by 90% when you're doing the lead, so it doesn't really work well there. But seeing this character hit for like 200, 300,000 damage just from this Datacron, all of a sudden now Capital Games addressed another issue with new characters, where even if a character is not great out of the box, like we're seeing here, it's just a fact he's not great out of the box right now. They're supplementing his trashiness with this Datacron to kind of hold you over until the rest of the puzzle comes in. The Master Qui-Gon, the Queen Amidala. And then once you have those and you have this, holy crap, this is going to be a scary team. Especially because he's going to be assisting a lot in the Master Qui-Gon, Queen Amidala team anyways. So this team is going to be broken, I feel like, for the next couple months until September rolls around at the minimum. But again, just to make this entirely clear, the viability that you're seeing from this aspect of the gameplay is not what he's like in a normal circumstance. So if you're watching this video a year from now, just to kind of get a feel for what Padawan Kenobi's like and you're working towards him, this Datacron likely will not be around anymore, and he's likely, unless there's, I mean, he'll probably hit hard if Queen Amidala, Master Kenobi, or Master Qui-Gon, but I don't think he's going to be hitting 300,000 true damage. So I guess the last thing we could kind of briefly discuss here is Zeta's Omicrons. He's only got one. I mean, overall, very simple kit, high damage, with the exception of the very long Conquest Omicron, which I guess we can dabble in a little bit here. The Zeta ability on his Nobility and strength. Definitely going to be worth it once you have Queen Amidala. Right now, it doesn't make a lot of sense. This is where he gets the stacking critical chance and the critical damage based off protection over time, heal over time, and he gets some defense over to the Handmaid and Decoy. So it's going to be worth it right now. And if you don't plan on getting Queen Amidala, you can completely skip out on this Zeta. And even in general, I mean, if you, we'll let this see what the future holds. But right now, just in general, if you're not going to Queen Amidala, Master Qui-Gon, this might be something to skip out on. Again, I'm hoping maybe the Qui-Gon Jinn Grand Arena Omicron might help him out a bit. And then we have the Conquest Omicron, where all of a sudden his kit gets very lengthy. In terms of Conquest Omicrons, I'm not going to apply it, but there's only two right now, him and Shorty. This is definitely the better one. And if you do some mental gymnastics, I guess you can convince yourself you might spend less crystals on energy refreshes to do your Conquest feats, because basically all this is trying to do is spam a lot of the popular buffs and debuffs that you would normally see in Conquest feats. But again, likely you're not going to see all of these feats at once inside of a Conquest cycle. Usually one sector will have a critical chance, the next sector will have offense up, the next sector will have critical chance down or something. So I don't know if it's really going to be worth it, because you could just, when you go to the next sector, just use a character that has that, and then you farm, for example, the Datacron node. So you see where it kind of gets a little weird with this. I think this is more of you know, if you want to just make Conquest a bit simpler and you don't want to have to do as much thinking, or you want to have a get out of jail free card for some buffs and debuffs that you don't know if your roster has, even though chances are you might have it somewhere, unless it's like something weird like momentum or there's only so many people that have it. I can see the value in that, but again, I don't know if I would recommend it. I probably would say I don't recommend it, but if you do apply it, I'm not going to say, well, that's dumb. But if you know, there's if it would get someone that would normally, they for whatever reason, they think it's too hard, or they think they can't do it, or maybe they just can't do it actually. And if this is going to get you a couple extra crates in Conquest, you know what? Fine. But again, I've always been in the camp where you don't need to buy the Conquest passes. You don't need to wail hard in Conquest, you know, to get gold crate. But of course, you know, it depends what your roster's like. You might have 4 million in like 1 gear 13, you know? So again, it's a very catch-all opinion that I'm throwing out there. But, you know, again, in terms of Conquest Omicron, it is the better one. I'm not going to apply it. I wouldn't recommend applying it. But if you do apply it, you know what? I wouldn't say it's all that crazy. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for today's initial overview of Padawan Kenobi. Kind of an interesting time for new character testing, where now it's like, oh man, the character's bad, but hey, let's see what the Datacron does to this character. And then he turned into a Super Saiyan all of a sudden. But I digress. There is much to learn that Padawan Kenobi still has to learn over the course of May. Get ready for it. Master Qui-Gon, my expectations, probably within the next 2 weeks he'll show up. And then the week after that, Queen Amidala is in our roster. And then we're going to really see how this team is formidable at that point. But until then, leave that like, comment down below, subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And always remember, it's great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.